following segment contains strong, uncaffeinated opinions about softball which will offend those who are happy with the status quo. The views and opinions expressed on Yara Said It of those of only the host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the views or positions of Inner Circle, D1 Softball, and their respective affiliates or employees. The broadcaster and this segment cannot be held accountable for any pearl-clutching, prickly, hypersensitive tweeting or social media as a result. Not like he gives a anyway.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Yeah, I Said It exclusive here on the Inner Circle YouTube channel. My name is Victor Anderson. Fresh off a very busy weekend broadcasting up in DeLand, Florida for Stetson University with softball and baseball, but we're not here to talk about that, nor are you here to hear me rant about my broadcasting journey. You're here to hear me rant about the things going on in softball, and that's what I'm here to do for you on this episode of Yeah, I Said It. But before we do that, special thanks to our people at StreamYard for making it all happen. Make sure you follow the podcast on your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, our podcast will be coming out later on today. Big time guest Monica Abbott will be joining us, dabbling into broadcasting, talking about her book, Rise and Shine, the Monica Abbott story, and a whole lot more. Plus, Eric and I share our observations from a wild weekend that was in college softball. Now, obviously, with the results that took place, a lot of fans were not happy with how things went for their respective teams and took to social media to, let's just say, have an early Festivus and have an airing of grievances. Some of them directed at the student athletes, former student athletes, and coaches directly. So that's why this edition of Yeah, I Said It today is titled, Don't Boost Yourself Up by Bringing Others Down. I, as someone who frequents social media and can be accused of being on it a little bit too much, see teams post the final score and fans commenting, being mean, despicable, rotten, calling for people's heads, calling for the players, and it's just ridiculous. It gets so bad that sometimes teams will post the final score and turn off all replies. That's how bad those comments have gotten. While I was observing some of the action this past weekend, Friday night in particular, where it included Oklahoma losing the middle game of the series to BYU, LSU losing the opening game of their series to Auburn, social media was not the real friendly place, and I will provide you some examples of that I saved and screenshotted for the social media masses. The LSU account, after they lost to Auburn, some of the LSU fans are saying, well, it's typical LSU. They're going to find a way to fold in the second half of the season and have an early exit in regionals. And some fans were even calling for Beth Torita to be fired. Y'all were the same people who wanted Les Miles fired after he brought you a national championship. Okay, that happened. Ed Orgeron comes in. He gives you a national championship with the greatest single-season offense ever put together. 2 years later, you get him booted. Now you got Brian Kelly. And how long is it before you want to get him the hook? If you let go of Beth Torita, who realistically can you get to Baton Rouge? Again, realistically, folks, please put in the comments below. If you LSU fans, you're delusional ones who are really posting after a tough loss to an Auburn team who is fighting to make their way back into the NCAA tournament, playing for an essentially, let me properly say this, exiting Mickey Dean after this year, who are you going to get to have the pedigree, the class, and the winning that Beth Torita has brought to Baton Rouge? Please be realistic and put it in the comments below. But the fact that some of y'all feel very comfortable with your Twitter fingers on your phones and your computers attacking student athletes because y'all don't have any better thing to do with your lives than to base your happiness, your sanity, and your functionality in humanity, ever crippling as it may be, and attaching your well-being to how someone plays on a softball diamond, a football field, or whatever, you really need to have your priorities re-examined. And a few more that I kind of just scrolled through. I remember a few years ago, Tom Canterbury and Gray Robinson were having to deal with Alabama fans after they had a subpar season, which had them losing in supers. And people were mad about Alabama and how they had a disappointing season. Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not the team that's holding up the championship trophy and the confetti raining down on you in Oklahoma City at the end of the year, it's a disappointing season in that immediate fact. As the days and the weeks go by and you have a moment of self-reflection on what happened with your season, then you're going to realize you accomplished a lot of stuff. And some of those teams who accomplished those things may have overcome adversity on and off the field to have that happen. But you fans, you entitled fans who think that everything is how to properly say this? Everything should be a formality for you, that you should start the season automatically in Oklahoma City without letting the process play out. Y'all really need to have a sit-down conversation and have yourself reprioritized. Which leads me to this tweet that I screenshotted on Friday night. And I want to get the context of the situation. Oklahoma lost to BYU, middle game of the series. Oklahoma run ruled BYU Thursday night. And look, BYU gets all the credit. They play well. Oklahoma was uncharacteristically sloppy. Oklahoma won the series. Patty Gasso said after the game that she and her two players next to her, Tayari Jennings and Kenzie Hansen, they know what it's like to win at a championship level. And right now, they're not playing at a championship level. But once again, everybody likes to kick dirt on somebody when they have a down moment. The one that I don't understand is a Michigan account called Hail to the Victors, who, for whatever reason, mentioned someone who was no longer on the team in a series that took place the weekend before. Here's the tweet. 10:43 a.m., April 13th, Saturday morning, from Hail to V. Hey, at Alex Storako, how was that OU Texas softball game? So you felt in whatever being or loins you had to decide to tweet at somebody who went to your school, got their degree, fulfilled their obligations with the Maize and Blue, put their name in the portal, decided she wanted to go win a national championship and grow as an individual, went to Oklahoma, did just that, became the number one freaking pick in the WPF, and you felt it necessary to bring her up on a series that she had not thrown a single pitch in that past weekend, simply because she left your school via the graduation transfer portal and go to Oklahoma. So, Hail to V, I want to ask you this question, her or sir, whoever you are, or whatever pronoun you answer to. Did that make you feel good when you put that tweet out there? Did I give it all the warm and fuzzies when you put that out there? Did that make your Saturday morning because you probably had cold coffee. They didn't have your favorite donut at your donut shop. Your car probably had a flat tire. You had to be called into work for an assignment that you put off for 3 weeks because you were so worried about who was going to take over as your starting quarterback with J.J. McCarthy going to the NFL draft. Did that give you your boost of self-esteem, what little self-esteem you had anyway? And this is what's the problem in softball today. Fans making this literal life and death. Anytime someone says anything perceived as negative towards their team, sometimes it is. I've been guilty of that on this podcast before. Listen to our episode where we talked about Haley Lee transferring to OU. I'm still getting flamed about it to this day. We apologize and people still won't accept it. Nonetheless, when fans go after student athletes and coaches and think that they know more about what's going on in the locker room and in the diamond and in the dugouts than the people that are actually pouring in the sweat, the blood, the time, and sacrificing what needs to be done to perform on the field. And you have to hear it from a 40-year-old guy who is a girl dad and has Bible verses on his Twitter profile, and he's using profanities to talk about how the team should have not hit and run with 1 out with runners at first and third. y'all are the reason a lot of people are getting out of this game, because they don't want to deal with some of this entitlement from some of you fans. And if you are being bothered by this, then maybe you're the fans I'm talking about. There are 95% of softball fans who are knowledgeable, who want to have a conversation, who want to have dialogue about the sport, and want to have people, if you're going to talk about a player, talk about the player, talk about the game. Don't go into any speculatory or use any old adjectives or sayings. Easy for me to say. I'm recording this late on Sunday night. But when you're a fan, be a fan. Be passionate for your team. Don't attack your team when they don't win and they ruin your day. And subsequently, don't go after an opposing player's team or former team simply because they are not with your school anymore. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there was a lot of this that happens on the message boards, and a lot of this that probably happened behind closed doors prior to social media. Social media only amplifies it times 100. That's why coaches always say, stay off the social media. That is not good for your psyche and your well-being. Why you think athletes are asking for more resources for mental health, stress, anxiety? Because the fandom of this sport, certain individuals take it too far, and that's how we get these situations that we're seeing on social media where fans feel entitled and empowered to say these things in the screen, but yet the funny thing is you'll say those things about a player on social media, but yet that girl dad I'm talking about will be the first ones to ask for a player's autograph, smile at the player, says, hey, can you send this to my girl? She's the biggest fan of yours. Can you give her that autograph, please? Knowing full well if that player strikes out on a 2-2 changeup and cost your team a chance to win the game and possibly go to the NCAA tournament, you'll be quick on those Twitter fingers so fast, Quick Draw McGraw will be wondering what the heck's going on around here. Be a fan. Stop being a fanatic. Grow up. Now, with that being said, that's going to wrap up Yeah I Said It for this particular week. Make sure you follow In the Circle on your favorite social media platforms. Thanks again to StreamYard for making it all happen. We are going to be having an announcement in the next couple of weeks about when In the Circle is going to be going back live. And trust me when I say this, we're going to have a lot of fun with our next live stream. So be on the lookout for that. Get on Victor Anderson. And if you're offended by what I say, let's have a dialogue about it. Let's conversate about it. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you hit that notification and hit that bell to Get all your videos of Yeah, I Said It, all the videos here on In Circle as well. Top podcaster out. Good night, Canada.